Hello everybody once again and welcome back to the ESL UK Premiership. We're back with our final game of the night. It is FM Esports up against Choke Gaming, and I think there's something in the air, something in the water tonight, because these games have been ridiculous.
They definitely have. Both very long games. First one going up to about 40 minutes. Second one going to about 50 minutes. And we've seen a huge number of plays coming out from both teams. Game 1, Tundra with his flash pulverized headbutt onto Jokerism to knock him into the Baron Pit and secure themselves the win. Following that with the incredible team fight potential coming out from Ravano on that Ari, really swinging the game heavily in their favor, picking up that 5th dragon, finally being able to close out the game. But so close between these two teams. It's always going on to super late into the game, and I think that Kog'Maw pick did them a lot of favors. But Ravano, this guy is a monster, and speaking of monsters, Numlocked on that Renekton also had a phenomenal game. I feel like he just straight up outclassed Flaxish in that last game. Getting that solo kill, constantly camping him down underneath his turret was just a pretty rough time over for Flaxish. And coming into this third and final game, the winner of this will be sitting actually at the top of the ESL Premiership. So very important game. I think both of those teams will be happy to be claiming that first place spot for the time being. Obviously it won't be completely confirmed yet because we do still have a couple weeks left until the playoffs, but still, game 3, very close. And I've been informed that Numlocked and Tundra have a bit of a beef to sell coming into this final game.
Numlocked and Tundra, mortal enemies. They're actually pretty good mates, as far as I know. But we'll just run with it. We'll run with it. Tundra and Numlocked, the biggest enemies the UK scene has ever seen. I used the word "scene" twice and just didn't really work out, did it?
Not battling on the league, they're cage fighting somewhere in Coventry. So
Coventry is well renowned for its cage fighting circuit. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back into this. In fact, we didn't even introduce ourselves. If you've only just joined us, my name is Munchables. This guy with me is Vedius. I actually just pointed to my side right there. That's how used to being on camera I am. You just talk for a bit, Vedius.
Alright, well, we are going to see the Elise locked in first for Kino Combo. That's going to be in the jungle, and I think it's not going to hurt Choke too much. They've been playing very well. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like the Lee Sin or the Gragas come out once again for Choke Gaming. Interestingly enough, the Renekton has actually been banned away from Numlocked. So considering how confident he is on that champion and how well he's been playing it, it's not really that much of a surprise to see it denied from him. Kindred ban, has also come out once again. Don't want Plex to be playing that champion. We've seen it work out very, very well for the Newell earlier on today after they successfully defeated XL Esports in a 2-1. But that means that the Fiora is still open, and Numlocked is going to lock that in for himself. So it'll be interesting to see what Flaxish decides to bring out to try and counter that.
We will have to see. So far, Numlocked really has been getting the best of this lane against Flaxish. I'd be interested to see whether FM opt to go for something along the lines of maybe a lane swap, maybe remove that 1v1 scenario from Numlocked, because so far he has been able to take the advantage in that setup. And with the Fiora, I mean, maybe that's enough to sort of tip the balance. Renekton is banned, which is the champion that Numlocked beat Flaxish's Fiora. Flaxish's, that's... I'm way too tired to be saying long words like that. But we'll see what Flaxish does pick up to try and find that one out. And it is going to be the Alistair as well for Haddo. We saw Tundra play it to great effect in the first game of this series. We'll see if the Haddo is going to be able to do the same, but Tundra locks in the Bard, and we also see a Riven locked in for the top lane. This is going to be a heck of a game.
Alright, so Flaxish's Riven. This was the champion that got solo killed by XL Billy when he played for Exertus up against XL Esports. He also brought it in their game versus TCA and got camped pretty hard once again on that champion. So he can play it very well. Mechanically, he's very gifted and he knows how to use this champion effectively. The problem is, he tends to be so aggressive that it's very easy to punish him, and we've already seen how well Plex does at camping down on this Flaxish. So we'll have to see whether or not Flaxish's playstyle changes up a little bit and how well he's going to do against Numlocked on this Fiora. Definitely skill matchup. Thinking back to Worlds, we actually saw Smeb versus Huni up in the top lane. Smeb was able to come out on top with that Fiora during their 1 versus 1. And based on the track records that we've seen between these two, Numlocks may very well have the advantage. So keep an eye out on that top lane because that's going to be an exciting one. But Plex going to be back on this Lee Sin, as well as Tundra being on the Bard. Now, Tundra obviously moved from the top lane to the support. Feels like he can get a better edge over his arch nemesis by being down in the bottom lane. And by playing this Bard, this is the first time I've ever seen him play it. So interesting how he's going to choose to make it work. Bringing it up against the Alistair as well. And I'm excited. I think this will be a good bottom lane for the side. And we're going to get a LeBlanc. Wow. FM changing things up massively coming into Game 3.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to see this Bard pick. I just can't wait. I don't even want to focus on anything else. I just want to see the Bard. I want to see some crazy magical journeys. I want to see some good stuns. Tundra, you've got a lot of hype to live up to now because I am so excited to see this one. Gonna see Zivis on the LeBlanc once again. We've seen him play this champion to great success in the past. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see him do the same in this game. He's been doing a phenomenal job in lane to stay ahead of Ravano in regards to CS, and we'll see if he can duplicate that. For some reason, my Skype has turned itself off Do Not Disturb and gone on to active. I hate it when it does that. I think it's whenever I go on Skype on my phone. I think that's the key to that one. I've just worked it out now. So there you go. Tip for everyone at home: if you're on Skype, you're on Do Not Disturb, you go on your phone and it's on online, then it'll turn your PC Skype to online as well, and then you get Skype noises on the stream. So there you go. That's Munchables' pro tip of the day. But we do have our final team compositions locked in.
So it does make you wonder that why Tundra's decided to go for something like the Bard. He has played a lot of Thresh in the past. He's played things like Kennen, the Shen. He's played Alistair himself. Obviously, he couldn't pick that this game because it was unavailable, but he also had a great performance on Braum last game. Arguably, a lot of those picks potentially would be better than the Bard. It's simply due to what they offer for the team. Something like something that offers an engage really would have been great here, I feel, for FM. Something a little bit more reliable than the Bard Ultimate, simply because, yeah, okay, you've got the Cocoon as well as the On the Hunt coming out from Toaster and Kino, but I just feel like some solid engage would have worked out better for their team composition as a whole. And I just feel that it's, considering I've never seen Tundra play Bard, he may be an expert Bard player for all I know, but I just feel as though there were other stronger picks available to him. And okay, their laning phase should go relatively well. I think that their lane control should be in their favor with the Sivir, the great shove that they have available to them. But still, I think it's going to be a bit of a rough one for Tundra and Toaster throughout the rest of the game. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we can't determine just yet off of Champion Select. But Ziv is going on to this LeBlanc up against Ravano's Ahri. Now, something I want to bring attention to is Ravano actually barely ever used his teleport last game. And it really made me wonder why he even bothered taking it, because whenever I did see him use the teleport, he didn't really get that much out of it. So I think maybe going for something like the Ignite would have been better, especially when you're going up against the LeBlanc. But he's decided not to do it. He's going to stick himself with the teleport. And it does look like that Zivis decided, okay, I've had enough. I want to start playing more aggressively. Same for Kino. He's on a very aggressive early game jungler. And if we see a 2 versus 2 in the top lane, that is a very clutch fight that we could end up having. You know, Riven and Elise going up against Lee Sin and Fiora. On paper, I would give it over to Elise and Riven, assuming that they landed everything. But considering how mobile Fiora and Lee Sin actually are, they could potentially dodge a lot of the abilities. They could play around that, and they could come out ahead. But a lot of clutch play, a lot of potential for excitement all over the map. Hopefully, this game is a little bit shorter. We know that these teams do like to drag things out, but with this being the final game, I imagine that everyone wants to try and close things out and offer an early night, and then prepare for next week's games.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, if they're the ones that are falling behind, they're certainly not going to want the game to end anytime soon, because they're going to be wanting to claw their way back in. The score, if you can't read on your screen, it is 1-1. FM taking the first game, and then Choke managing to equalise in I think it was like 55 minutes at the end of that last game. It was incredibly long either way. They managed to equalise after a huge slugfest. And now we're going to see who's going to be able to take this on. Flaxish, well renowned as kind of a solo queue player, playing pretty much the ultimate solo queue champion. He's going to be on the ribbon up in that top lane, up against Numlock's Fiora. Cannot wait to see this matchup. But also, LeBlanc versus Ari in the mid lane. 100% a skill matchup there.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing is, for Ravano, it's quite good. What we're seeing right here is exactly what we saw in Game 1 between XL and the Null, where LeBlanc goes very aggressively with that Ignite Summoner spell. Sure, she can put a lot of pressure down onto Ravano during the laning phase, but Ravano with that teleport, he can just back off, buy himself an extra item, get a couple more pots and wards, and he's good to go again, come back into lane, and all that advantage that had been gained from having the Ignite in lane was now suddenly lost. And then LeBlanc is going to have to back off, lose a bit of farming experience, and it's just going to swing back in their favor. Obviously, it does depend on how much additional pressure comes out, how much support that LeBlanc actually gets in setting up for these kills. But, you know, these are all things that we need to keep our eyes on as the game progresses. In particular, though, I feel like we need to keep our eyes on Kino and Plex, because in terms of jungle pressure, it's all been about Plex. This guy, he's got a lot of team experience. As you said, he's been on so many different UK teams. I mean, originally, back in the day, about 2 years ago, he played for Choke on one of their original UK lineups, and throughout that time he's played on a bunch of different teams. He's even played for challenger teams over in North America. He's learned a lot about the game, and you can really see that in his playstyles. His aggression is very calculated, and I imagine this game he's going to recognize that top lane is so snowbally. Whoever gets the ahead between Numlocked and Flaxish is really going to determine the pace of this game and who comes out ahead overall.
Well, we'll see who it is going to be coming out ahead overall, as the scoreline is 1-1 here. We enter the Rift once again for our 6th and final time of the night. FM Esports on the blue side of the map, and they're going to be going up against Choke Gaming on the red side of the map. And we'll see who's going to be able to take the edge and take the series in this final matchup. Now, both teams just spreading out across the map to kick things off. We saw this as well last game. Nobody trying to go for anything crazy like those deep wards, not trying to go for any sorts of invades. They do not want to risk it with how close these games have been. And the fact that they are playing for the seeding in the playoffs right now, they really can't afford to do anything risky at all.
Nope, they really can't. This game means everything to these two teams. They do not want to lose this series. They want to be sitting at the top of the ESL Premiership, and having that first place spot increases your likelihood of reaching the finals in the playoffs and winning overall, and that's exactly what all these teams want. So this game in particular, the first two don't matter anymore. This is a best of one again. These teams need to reset, need to rethink their plan, and right now it does look like that we are going to see a pretty standard double jungle start, with both bottom lanes picking up their respective jungle camps and the double jungle coming out from both top and junglers. So I'm not expecting too much action in the early game. If there is going to be any action, it'll likely be in the top lane. I really hope that Kino steps up his aggressive sort of playstyle, his early jungle pathing, simply because we very rarely see him set up any early ganks. It's not something that we're used to seeing, and I know for a fact we're going to see Plex go for aggressive plays. So let's see if Kino can change his playstyle up and do what he can to get Flaxish ahead.
We'll have to see. Nice trade immediately comes out from Ziviz. He's starting this lane as I hope he means to go on, going very aggressive early on and winning out a trade against Ravano. And honestly, Ravano really felt like the sort of superstar carry for Choke last game. And again, Ziviz jumping forward. He felt like the one that was really winning the game, winning those team fights. His Ahri play was absolutely exceptional. If Ziviz is able to shut him down during the laning phase, then maybe that's what FM need to be able to take the third game in this series.
Could very well be, but the thing is, in the past, Ravano hasn't always been that carry. I've always talked about how I feel like he hasn't shown everything that he's capable of. Last game was the first glimmer of Ravano really overperforming above what I expected him to do. And if he can repeat that performance, then great for Choke, because it just increases the number of threats that they have available. But I feel as though last game it was very much the Plex and Numlock show, them getting their... Sorry, last game it really was the Ravno show, but in the past it's traditionally been the Plex and Numlock show, them being the major carries for Choke. We'll have to see whether or not things can change up. I really hope that Ravno can get more consistent with his coming into the mid and late game. Right now, though, it does look like Flaxish has hit that early level 3. Numlock needs to be careful.
He does indeed. He's going to get chunked down to half HP, but take a look at this. Kino scuttling into lane here. He's on that Elise, and Numlocked is going to face check him. He's going to take a huge chunk of damage. That's going to be the knock-up, but the flash comes through from Numlocked in the last second. That's going to keep him alive. He has no teleport, though, so if he's forced out of lane at this point, it's going to be incredibly detrimental to the early game, and it's going to mean that Flaxish gets a huge lead to kick off with.
Great path and coming out from Kino. This is exactly what we wanted to see from him, and he's doing it. But Plex recognizes that the dive is a possibility with Numlock only being level 2, and here comes Plex.
Yeah, combo is already taken so solo. Numlocked incredibly low as well. Flaxish now tanking the tower. The Q doesn't quite land. Plex can't find the Sonic Wave, and they are going to get away with no punishment whatsoever.
So unfortunate for Numlocked. If he was only level 3, he would have had his riposte available, and they very likely could have turned that fight around in their favor. But because he wasn't able to get that level 3 mark, Flaxish and Kino were able to very easily execute that dive, using the repel to quickly switch the tower aggro, and Flaxish using that flash to get over the wall. Very well played by them. FM coming out with the early lead, and this is exactly what they needed. We talked about how this top lane was so volatile. Now that Flaxish has that first blood, he really could start to run away with this top lane.
Yeah, absolutely could. And just look at the CS difference right now. Already 10 CS up. There's only been about 3 minion waves, and he's managed to get this kind of a lead so early. It's going to be incredibly hard for Numlock to stay in this lane right now. There is a 2 longsword advantage already for Flaxish. He is going to be doing crazy damage.
Speaking of CS differences, have a look down the bottom lane. Jokerism has a healthy 10 CS advantage over Toaster, and this is not something that I was expecting, you know. When you have a Sivir and a Bard, it should be relatively easy for you to put a lot of pressure down onto this Tristana Alistair lane. It should, during the laning phase especially, have the advantage, but how Numlocked is getting ganked again.
He is indeed. Kino going to be looking for the cocoon, and he is going to find it. Numlocked down to just 200 HP, and he is going to fall. Flaxish looking to finish it, or is he? The stun comes down. Flaxish is going to be able to escape, and again Plex doesn't quite land the Sonic Wave. Flaxish just trying to escape. He is Riven though, plenty of mobility on his side. He's gonna jump for it, gets the Sonic Wave, and Kino is gonna be going down. No, the flash comes out, and now Flaxish in a 1 versus 1 against Kino. It's gonna be Plex getting one, and he gets the double kill. Plex with the 2 versus 1 outplay burns both flashes of his opponents and takes the kills.
I've said in the past that how Plex and Numlock traditionally are the carries for Choke Gaming, and you can see it right there. Plex getting the 1 versus 2 outplay. Yeah, right, Flaxish was pretty low, but so was Plex. He did a great job of, as Kino tried to come back in and help out his top laner, he actually put himself in a situation where Nocturnal Plex were just like, yeah, okay, I'm going to kill you now. He picks up the double kill, very well played from him, and meanwhile we do see Tundra being aggressive on the bottom.
We do indeed. Haddo could be in trouble, and we see Zivis starting to enter the fray as well. Haddo is going to just get destroyed there. The chain can't quite land, minions in the way, so Jokerism is going to escape, but they're going to be very happy with that early kill on Toaster, especially when they've started to fall behind in CS. They're going to be very happy with that little injection of gold.
It really surprises me that FM got away with that. Ravano should have been identifying, hey guys, LeBlanc is missing, and the fact that Jokerism and Haddo was pushed up so far in the lane should have been fairly obvious as to where he was going to go, but they had no vision in the river. They had no idea that he was walking down there, and Civis just walks down, picks himself up a nice and easy assist, and that's going to give the BF sword completed for Toaster. So I think that's exactly what he needed to come back into this lane just a little bit, and just a bit of a surprise right now though. Plex coming for another gank. Yeah,
yet again the junglers being... Plex now is pretty much forced to stay up towards this top side with how far behind Numlocked has gone. And the big issue for Choke, Numlocked didn't get any assists or anything for those 2 kills. He's still as far behind as he was before.
And the thing is, in terms, I mentioned that if we're going to see any action, it's likely going to be in the top lane, and that's because of how volatile this lane really is. Right now, level 6 Flaxish to level 5 Numlock, he really is having a rough time, and I think he knows how Flaxish feels compared to last game, where he pretty much just got camped under tower. But you have to remember that Furo does scale very, very well, so Numlocked, you can never count him out of the game while he is having a rough early game. It's going to be a matter of, even if Flaxish has an absolutely ridiculous lead over his counterpart, it's going to be about how well he can use it. So right now, the Ziv is potentially looking for a dive.
It is indeed. The Ignite is ticking on Raveno, but one more auto attack is not going to be enough, and that's going to be Nocturnal Plex executing Ziviz with that Dragon's Rage. And that, unfortunately, is going to be a pause coming out as well. So assist for assist in the mid lane, both on exactly the same CS, and with no towers, I would expect the mid laners to be on almost exactly the same gold. 50 gold lead, in fact, in favour of Raveno, so starting to run away with this lane. But across the board, 3-3 now, just a 600 gold lead in favour of FM.
Right now, Plex is doing a great job of keeping Choke in the game. So many kills are coming out all across the map, and Plex is just in the right place at the right time to help his team out when they're in a bit of a tricky situation. Okay, he wasn't in the bottom lane to help them out, but they shouldn't have been that overextended. They should have been more aware of what was going on around the map. But Plex is doing a great job. He's gone for that very early brutalizer. He's going to be doing a huge amount of damage, and you saw that onto Ziviz. He kicked him in the face, picked himself up another kill, but now he needs to start using this. I feel like he should continue to keep that pressure up in the top lane. They definitely need to get Numlock back into this game. They need to get some major items on him, get some farm back, get some experience back. And with Nocturnal Plex being level 7, he's in a great position to be able to do that. So I'm hoping Plex goes back up there, helps his top laner out. I imagine he will, because as I said, traditionally these two are the main carries for Choke, and at least that's what we've seen from the past.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see if we see that again in this game. Look at the CS differentials across the entire map. We've got a 10 CS lead down in the bottom lane for Jokerism, 10 CS lead in the jungle, as well as 3 kills, but I feel like in this scenario, Nocturnal Plex is kind of an outlier. And then up in the top lane as well, Flaxish, 20 CS up on Numlocked right now. So the only kind of even lane right now is that middle lane, the LeBlanc versus Ari matchup. I want to take a look at the gold. Unfortunately, I can't because the game is paused. I really want to see how far ahead Plex is over Kino.
Alright, well, right now it's 3,000 gold to 2,300 in favour of Plex. And the biggest difference really is the top lane, where Flaxish is sitting on 2,700 gold to 1,700 gold on Numlocked. So there's about a 1,000 difference in favour of Flaxish, and there's about a 700 difference in favour of Plex. But a large amount of the difference for Flaxish is this CS difference. There's 20 creep score difference between the two top laners, as well as the 2 kills that he's sitting on has given him a pretty big advantage. So, as you rightly identified, pretty big lead sitting on top of Flaxish right now. And for those wondering, the reason for the pause is that Numlocked is experiencing some bit of lag issues, and what they didn't realize is they paused just as Toaster and Tundra were actually looking to engage a fight. Jokerism's just been chunked out, and he's at about 50% of his HP. And as well as that, Toaster and Tundra have actually just hit level 6 when Haddo is still only level 5. So they're looking to use that level advantage that they have. So the moment we go for an unpause, I would recommend that you flick the camera down to the bottom lane, because that is where we're likely to see some action kicking off in the nearby future.
I will do my very best to do just that for you, my friend. But we'll see. Do we have any update on how long the pause will potentially be? I haven't had any messages.
I will investigate that now, as you...
Excellent news, my friend. We'll take a look at that one. Let's take a quick look at our inventories so far this game. We have up in the top lane 5 swords between 2 people, and they only have 4 hands, so I'm not sure how they're quite going to manage that one. Flaxish being greedy and having 3 for himself. He's not been back to base in a little while. Would not be surprised to see those 2 long swords turn into a brutalizer. Incredibly strong early game item on the Riven. Obviously, you get the armor penetration, you get the AD, but you also get the cooldown reduction, and when you're playing a champion that is entirely based on cooldowns, that can be so so important. When we take a look elsewhere on the map, there's also a Brutalizer in the hands of Nocturnal Plex looking towards that Warrior enchant. Interestingly, both junglers going for the secondary part of their jungle item before they finish off the actual jungle item, heading towards those enchants before finishing the original item. So we're yet to see which jungle items they opt for there. Fiendish, Codex apiece down in the mid lane. Both mid laners going to be starting off with the Morella Nomicon. Then in the bottom lane, again, Even Stevens on the BF swords and supports. Well, they've both got a Sightstone, so going to be looking for that early vision control, and both as well going to have those sweepers to hand. But we'll see.
The big thing in this game, really, is the Tundra versus Numlocked matchup, because as Bloodsworn enemies, we need to know who will come out ahead in this third and final game. Right now, Tundra sitting at level 6 to the level 5 of Numlocked could mean that Tundra would have the advantage in the 1 versus 1, and considering that Numlocked only has 2 items, not even a completed item, to the completed Sightstone of Tundra, really puts him in a favourable advantage. So I think right now Tundra's in a great position to come out ahead in this Bloodsworn rivalry. But, you know, as the game progresses, we'll have to see who comes out ahead.
We absolutely will. We'll see if Tundra can chime his way to victory, or whether Numlocked will be able to outduel his enemy, his rival, his nemesis over on that Bard. We'll have to see. Very excited to get this game underway once again. I can hear that there's a lot of chat going on. I can't really bring that up on stream right now. Anyone saying anything useful, or just spamming UK memes?
There's a couple of memes going back and forth, but it does look like that the pause should be finishing in about 3 minutes time. Unfortunately, Numlocked doesn't have access to fiber optic broadband like the modern civilization, but that does mean that every time his sister attempts to access the internet, it results in him losing his connection. So that is currently what we're dealing with.
that is tragic right there. That is absolutely tragic.
And right now, though, I mean, you know, let's just remind people what's on the line for these two teams. Now, I keep harping on about it, but for those that have just joined, this is Game 3 between FM Esports and Choke Gaming, both currently sitting in the top bracket, or top half of the bracket, or top half of the group even, for the ESL UK Premiership. Both teams currently sitting at 4-0. Neither team has lost a single game. So the winner of this will move to first place in the group of the ESL Premiership. And that is a pretty big deal. So it's a very important game. First game, I think in every single game we've actually seen the early game lead go in favor of Choke. But the first game, FM were able to turn things around. Second game, it was actually Choke managing just about to close things out after picking up that 5th Drake at the 50-minute mark. Whereas this game, it's actually FM that start off with some nice early aggression, especially some kills going over to Flaxish, which is just what they need. But Plex responding very nicely to the pressure coming out from the rest of FM. So pretty even game so far. Only a 600 gold difference between the two teams. No Dragons or Barons been taken just yet. And as I said, there is a little bit of a fight kicking off in the bottom lane. Hopefully we should be returning to the game fairly soon, as to return back to this bloodbath battle, to this bloodbath battle between Tundra and Numlocked. As I'm sure many people have been waiting to see the epic conclusion as to who will come out ahead in this rivalry, in this long drawn out UK rivalry that has existed between these two players
for years. I mean, these guys.
Centuries even.
Let me tell you a story. These guys have been rivals for life. They went to the same nursery, and even since then, they hated each. I'm just going to preface this with none of this is true at all. Please don't take this out of context. But they hated each other since they were like 2 years old, and they continued through school. They played rugby against each other, and they were always like eyeing each other up across the pitch. And then, as they went through high school, they started to play League of Legends, and they happened to find each other in the top lane. Eyes locked once again, and the rivalry reignited, and here we are today in this match for seeding in the ESL UK Premiership playoffs, and the rivalry is still going strong.
And as I said, Tundra right now in a great position to come out ahead. And, you know, you'd think that it would be more like FM versus Choke Rival, but it's not. It's just a straight up 1 versus 1. Tundra wants to kill Numlocked. And I imagine he's looking for that opportunity, so keep an eye out. Right now, though, as the action comes to a very quick end in the bottom lane, as Jokerism just jumps out of that one. So we're back in the game, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 versus FM and Choke.
Yes, we're in game. There is League of Legends happening once again. As the score is, let's just like reset. Let's let everyone know what's happening, because that was a pretty extended break there. The score is 3-3. The gold lead is ever so slightly in favour of FM Esports, but nothing too crazy. Just a 500 gold lead at this moment in time. And we see Nocturnal Plex and Raveno going to be stealing away the blue buff from Kino Combo and Ziviz. And that is going to be an ever so slight advantage picked up there for Choke Gaming. And now, I think one thing as well that we need to mention is how much jungle pressure has been sent up towards this top lane.
Yeah, already we can see both junglers hanging around there already. Kino trying to come in through the lane, with Plex coming up through the river. But it's a tough one to call. Numlocked feeling a little bit more confident in lane now that he's picked up some farm. But in the bottom lane especially, seeing as Hado is unable to hit that level 6 mark, Tundra and Toaster have been abusing it so hard. You can already see they've closed the CS gap. But hang on, because Raveno gets locked up in the middle lane, he's going to be alright. But Jokerism getting forced so incredibly low as well. So many skirmishes and trades coming back and forth all over the map. It does actually look like FM are coming out ahead in the vast majority of them.
Yeah, it does indeed, and we see Jokerism just completely forced away from these CS. He's doing his best to at least stay in experience range, but Flaxish could be in a little bit of trouble. We do see that Nocturnal Plex has found his way into this top lane. He's sneaking up further in the lane. If Flaxish comes out towards these minions, he might just be in trouble. That's going to be his Broken Wings on cooldown. Nocturnal Plex just waiting for the opportunity. He's actually going to go onto the minion, and it's going to mean that he gets the kick onto Flaxish, who fails the flash, and now he is going to be going down for that one. Plex decides to pick up his 4th kill of the game instead of donating it to his top laner, and that is going to be a kill onto Flaxish. His flash wasted as well, and in the meantime, FM are going to be able to take away the tower in the bot lane.
I think that was a little bit of a mistake from Plex. I feel like he should have given the kill over to Numlocked. He's the one that you really need to be strong at this point. He needs to be able to come out ahead against Flaxish in the 1 versus 1. So taking that kill away from him I don't think was the best decision. But either way, taking Flaxish down, and as I said, that Numlocked, he's in so much trouble. Yeah,
Numlocked getting locked up here. He does still have his flash available, but Flaxish is looking to be the caps lock in this one as he takes on down the enemy top laner. And after getting finally back into this game, Numlocked is shut down once again.
Yeah, big misplay coming out from Numlocked. He knew he had his flash available, and I imagine he was holding it, but he held onto it just for a little bit too long. And that resulted in a return kill coming back for Flaxis, so very well played by him. But I do imagine that Numlocked is just going to teleport himself back into the top lane. But very unfortunate that the fact that a successful gank coming out from Plex resulted in Numlocked then just handing a kill back over. Right now, though, gold is slightly in favour of FM after picking up that tower in the bottom lane, and it just really comes from the level advantage they were able to build up. Jokerism and Hado were doing a great job. They were in full control, but then all of a sudden, after getting that kill onto Toaster with the roam coming down from Civids, the momentum of the lane just swung back in the favour of Toaster and Tundra, and they really used that to great effect, were able to take down the tower. And now they can start rotating their pressure around to other lanes. They can look to try and siege onto this mid lane, maybe even siege on the top. And Kino, flash engage.
It does indeed. Not quite going to be able to find his target though. Numlock's still going to be surviving here. Flaxish down to half HP, but he has a pot ticking. Tundra arrives on the scene as well. And that is just going to guarantee that they're able to take away this top lane tower. Numlocked, unfortunately, not a whole lot he can do about this one, and Flex is just going to allow those minions to take it, trying to deny as much CS as possible there. And now Plex going to be arriving on the scene, just going to be clearing away a little bit of vision, making sure that he's there just in case they do go too aggressive onto Numlocked.
Notice now Numlock doing his best to try and set up a freeze because because of the way that the tower is taken, the wave isn't going to bounce back in Flaxish's favor, and I think this is good for Numlock to try and get himself as much farm as possible. Right now, there's a 30 CS discrepancy between the two top laners, and Numlock just needs to do what he can to buy as much time as possible. Meanwhile, though, in the middle lane, Ravano has slowly started to build a CS lead himself. It was looking a little bit rough for him. He had been taking a lot of harass from Ziviz, but now he's gotten more comfortable during the laning phase. He's managed to do a good job of last hitting after being forced under the tower so many times. And right now, Tundra needs to be very careful.
He does indeed, but he is going to be able to stroll away from that one up towards the mid lane. He's going to hum his way over towards this mid lane tier 1 tower. The chain going to land from Ziviz. But the Haddo is not really the target they want to be aggressing on. And every bit are going to take this magical journey down towards the bottom lane, where they might just find Jokerism, who sees them coming and immediately starts channeling his recall. He is going to be able to get away with that one. Tundra throws out the ultimate, but it is not going to find its mark. And that is going to mean that after a big rotation down towards the bottom side of the map, we see that Choke start to push towards this mid lane tower. It is still full HP though, so I'm not sure if they're going to quite be able to take it. But they'll certainly be able to get at least a bit of damage.
And this is the great thing about having your bottom lane take the tower so early. You can then very easily just rotate them around the map and take away all these tier 1 towers, and that forces your opponents to lose so much map control. I think people underestimate how much vision you actually lose from having these towers unavailable to you, and it also allows your own team to then start pushing your vision line up into the enemy base. And you can already see Ziviz and Kino trying to do that themselves, looking to extend their vision line towards Choke's half of the jungle, to just gain a little bit more control over the map so that they can then dictate the pace of this game. So right now, great rotations coming out from FM Esports. The kills are very even. They have a massive tower advantage, and things are looking pretty rough for Choke so far in this early game. So far, they've always had that early game go in their favor. So now that they don't, it'll be interesting to see how well they adapt, or whether or not they can adapt at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Numlocked going to be dodging away from those skill shots as he tries desperately to CS underneath this tower. Ravano nowhere near his team right now, but does have that teleport available. So should a fight kick off, he is going to be able to get to his team, but that's going to be the flash knock-up coming out from the Haddo. There's the repel immediately as Kino tries to escape this one. Plex trying to get onto him. The Dragon's Rage doesn't quite finish him, but Ravano is there in the fight. He's taken so low, but Flaxish can't quite finish his target. Jokerism jumps forwards, and immediately the Riven flashes away. And now it's a 1-0 in favour of Choke Gaming.
What a clutch kick going out from Plex. Unfortunately, he wasn't quite able to pick up the kill, but Ravano was there to back him up. He ends up getting that kill onto Kino Combo, and that's something that Ravano really needed to really start building up momentum to have an impact on this game. And Flaxish used his flash to try and get the kill onto Ravano, but wasn't quite able to do that, so Choke end up coming out 1-0. Punishing a bit of mispositioning coming out from Kino Combo. So great response coming out from Choke Gaming, but still very heavily down on objectives, and even after getting that kill they weren't able to capitalize on anything. So only a bit of kill gold. It does go on to Ravano. It does enable him to complete his Sorcerer's Boots. To be honest, I feel like he could have gotten away with going with some Merc Treads this game. Provides you with a bit of extra magic resist against the Elise and the LeBlanc. As well as that, it just reduces the pick potential that comes out from the rest of FM Esports. But he's decided he's going to go for these more aggressive boots, wants that magic penetration, wants to be able to do as much damage as possible, and mainly relies on his positioning. And in fairness to the guy, he did only die once during a 50-minute game, so you could argue that his positioning was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see Toaster and Tundra starting to take away this red buff. Toaster having a little bit of a hard time, but his support is going to be there to save the day once again. And Ravano, in the meantime, going to be taking his blue buff, so he's going to have that mana to just continuously wave clear in this mid lane. Ziviz has pushed that wave on up. Ravano should be there to pick up those CS, so he doesn't fall too far behind. But the real story that's going on right now is up in this top lane. Flaxish is going to hop, skip, and jump away from that tower, as there are 3 members here to push this objective. Nocturnal Plex just waiting for an opportunity to go in, but he's not going to be able to find it, and this should be the tower going down here. in favour of Choke Gaming. They've closed this gold gap significantly now to just over 1,000 gold, but it's going to be Flaxish in a whole lot of trouble right now. And there's the Sonic Wave onto him. Ravano comes in to help his jungler. Toaster doing what damage he can, and the red buff finishes him off. And now it's a 1-for-1 so far. Top laner for mid laner, and now everybody from FM is grouped up so hard, but the Hado is all on his own. This Unbreakable will keep him alive for a little bit, but not for all too long, as Toaster is going to finish off that kill. 2-for-1 now in favour of FM.
That was a pretty crazy amount of damage coming out from Nocturnal Plagues. I wasn't expecting that. I can't imagine Flaxish was expecting that. A little bit unfortunate that the kill couldn't go over to Ravano, but for Ravano, I feel as though if he'd actually dashed towards the Hado, and Hado used his heal, he would have kept him alive, and they all could have ran away happily ever after, but decided not to do that, ended up losing his life, as well as giving another kill over to the Hado, and they're going to lose this tier 2 tower in the middle lane, so big advantages gained for the side of FM so far, and I really like this responsive play coming out from them. They're going to once again create this 2,000 gold gap between the two teams, equalize the kill score. Oh, but Numlocked is being collapsed upon.
It is indeed a nice dash to dodge away from Flaxish knock-up, but I don't think there's much he's going to be able to do to dodge this one. He is in a 1 versus 5 right now. Jumping over the wall, he's doing his very best to be a slippery duelist, but it's not going to be enough. The kill does eventually go over to Kino combo. And Kino has apparently learned to count, as he is now on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the scoreboard as the mid lane tier 1 tower goes down.
Yeah, that was good from Choke to make the best out of a bad situation. They recognized that there was no way Numlock was going to get out of there. I think he could have potentially gone for a TP play, but with so many interrupts available, it would have just been a bit of a waste of a TP. So smart play coming out from Numlock, and great response from Choke to capitalize on taking that tier 1 tower in the middle lane. Yes, there is still a 2,000 gold gap between the two teams, and Toaster is starting to get pretty big now that he's currently sitting on 3-0. But still, Choke doing what they can to stay in this game. The gold difference isn't so big that Choke are out of it yet. This game could still go either way. The biggest problem for Choke is how weak Numlocked is right now. I don't think he can 1 versus 1 Flaxish, and his impact in these upcoming team fights is going to be very sorely desired. So we'll have to see how things go. I think FM are feeling pretty confident because all the kills are on X. Pretty much all the gold is sitting on top of him. And in terms of team fights, traditionally Lee Sins don't offer very much. Often set up these insect plays, and they do what they can to sometimes peel or try to get onto the backline. And Civis fails to dash over the wall. But yeah, I think FM are going to be quite content with the fact that Lee Sin has all the kills. We have to keep an eye out because Plex may very well be punished for this rather aggressive build that he's going for.
Yeah, and interestingly as well, take a look at the CS in the mid lane. There is a massive lead for Ravano. Actually, Tundra's been caught out by Plex, and there's a fight going on in the top lane. In the meantime, Jokerism arriving on the scene as Flaxish trying to escape this one. The ultimate comes out from Tundra, but it's not going to find anyone as Plex finally finishes off the kill onto the enemy bard. The knock-up lands onto Flaxish, and he's going to be in all kinds of trouble. About 10 HP on that man, and he is going to go down to one last auto attack from Jokerism. Ravano now trying to escape. He's got no mana left as the repel comes out from Kino. A nice knock-up from Hado is going to keep his ally alive. Numlock finishes that kill off, and now Ziffis is stuck between a worm and a hard place. Toaster does manage to find one kill onto Nocturnal Plex, but he's the last man standing, and he's about to go down. Jokerism just waiting for his jump to finish this one off, but the red buff is going to be more than enough. That's a shutdown into the hands of Jokerism, and suddenly Choke Gaming turn this game on its head.
Great team fight coming out for Choke Gaming. They collapse on the mispositioning Flaxish sitting in the top lane, and for some reason Toaster was just super overextended up there. I'm not entirely sure what they were both doing there. Flaxish does what he can to get out, but a beautiful ward actually allows Jokerism to get the last auto attack off before Flaxish's flash can actually keep him alive. So very well played by them, and I love the BM coming out from Plex, hitting the Baron as Civis is stuck in the pit, basically saying, alright, you can either die to the Baron or you can die to Jokerism, choice is yours. He does end up dying to the red buff on Jokerism as Jokerism himself looks to clean up the fight. Great play coming out from Choke Gaming to now finally get themselves a gold advantage. So exactly what Choke Gaming needed to do. Numlock slowly working his way back into the game, but this will be a real test as to whether or not he's actually back in or not.
Yeah, it certainly will. Flaxish is on the scene, but we see the Hado entering the fray as well. Flaxish going to be slowed down by the riposte of Numlocked. The Pulverize does not quite land onto Flaxish, who leaps over that broken tower and he's going to be able to get his way to safety. His wings don't seem all that broken to me.
Yeah, I can just sit there and imagine Haddo saying, the moment he missed that pulverize, just typing lag in chat. Saying, sorry guys, can't hear you in TS. Bit of experienced a bit of lag.
Can you hear me? Am I back? Can you hear me?
So right now, it does look like Numlock's doing a pretty good job. He's slowly working his way back into the game. He's should be able to pick up that Ravenous Hydra fairly soon as another pause does come out. I imagine that we're going to be experiencing a little bit more lag from Numlock, so I will inquire as to the reason for this. As my co-caster... Oh, it is actually on the side of FM this time. It does appear that Tundra's now lagging. And what a coincidence that Tundra is lagging as well as Numlock is lagging.
Apparently Froggen is getting involved and he's trying to tilt the balance either way. But luckily for us, there is a pause function in this game. So Froggen's antics won't be enough to stop the UK Premiership. Let's take a quick look at our scoreboard while we have a moment to hand. And let's take a look at the gold differences. Obviously, the CS differences are pretty varied across the map, but I really feel like right now it's kind of Flaxish and Toaster versus Nocturnal Plex and Raveno. Let's take a look at the gold difference. Obviously, 50 CS in favour of Raveno in that mid lane. He's over 1,000 gold ahead of his lane opponent. 700 gold is the lead in the bottom lane in favour of Toaster. And then up in the top lane, Numlocked, 1,000 gold behind his respective opponents. So we'll see if they're going to be able to snowball that at all. But the biggest difference right now, it's in the jungle. It's going to be 1,400 gold in favour of Nocturnal Plex. So we'll see if they can continue to snowball that and if Plex can start to share the wealth a little bit.
Yeah. Having played with Plex in the past, that's not really what he likes to do. He likes to have the gold, he likes to have the items, because he wants to be the playmaker. He wants to be the guy that has the impact on the game. And having all this gold available to him means that he can make those plays, he can have that sort of an impact, but he does need to start spreading that gold around. Having a look at some of the death cap completed for Raveno, as you were saying, he is crazy strong right now. This LeBlanc click really not working out for Ziviz. Massive level discrepancy has already developed now, as well as the 50 CS difference between these two mid laners is absolutely insane. Raveno just playing the lane so smart, using that teleport as effectively as possible. I apologize, English is hard when you've been casting all afternoon. But right now, Choke in full control of the game. I feel like the momentum even is heavily in their favor, and it's them dictating the pace. Right now, a dragon going to be spawning in about 35 seconds. They're going to be looking to get some control down. They have just taken the Scuttle Crab, so they will have vision around as the dragon spawns. You can see a couple wards hanging around the entrances to the dragon pit. So what they need to be careful of is a possible flank coming out from Flaxish. He doesn't have his teleport available, and another thing to note is that Numlock doesn't have his teleport available, but he is going back, I believe, in just enough time to... I think this is smart. Picking up that item just before you go for a major fight around the dragon is a good, intelligent thing to do for Numlock. It will give him a slight power spike, having completed that Ravenous Hydra. Now it's just going to be a matter of who comes out ahead in this dragon. FM may very well look to contest, but I imagine that they won't, simply due to how strong Plex and Raveno are at this mid-stage of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll segue this into another topic then. So far in this game, it has been relatively even. There is an ever so slight lead in favour of Choke Gaming, but 900 gold at 23 minutes isn't really that significant. What do you feel like are the win conditions for these two teams at this point in time?
Well, it's a tough one to call. I would argue that it was largely down to the early game and Flaxish kind of running away with it. In the bottom lane, we saw that Toaster and Tundra naturally should have come out ahead, and initially it was looking kind of rough for them, but thanks to a bit of help from Civiz, they were able to regain control over the lane, and they were able to take that tower, transition that lead all across the map. But because Civiz has fallen so far behind, and Flaxish is now slowly starting to get outscaled by Numlocked, things are becoming very, very difficult for the side of FM. And I think it's just a matter of Choke just need to keep doing what they're doing. They are gradually building up some leads. They're gradually catching FM out of position all the time, slowly developing their gold advantage little bit by little bit, further and further. And because we are around these mid-game stages, this is where champions like the Ari, like the Lee Sin, really start to excel. So Plex and Ravno really need to be the ones that we keep our eyes on, and as long as they keep doing what they're doing, this should steadily go in favor of Choke. If FM want to be able to come back, they just need to find those picks. They have a great pick composition. They have On the Hunt available. They have a lot of single target damage available from Ziviz and Flaxish, as well as the Cocoon available from Kino. So they have great pick potential. They can use that to try and catch some members of Choke out of position. But I just feel as though with Choke's vision control and them playing around it so well, it's very unlikely for them to actually get caught out. And just have a look at their comp. Who do you catch out? You have a Spirit Rush on Ari, you have the knockback as well as the rocket jump available on Jokerism, you've got the kick on top of the safeguard available on Plex, and arguably the pretty high mobility available on Fiora. She's probably your most likely one that you want to catch out, but when they did try and catch her out, they usually lost objectives all over the map, so it's a tough one to say. I feel like right now it's rough for FM. Their only real way to come back into this is to get a potential catch, but there are very few real pick opportunities available on the side of Choke.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if they are going to be able to find anyone, if they are going to be able to find Numlocked to pick him out, or whether they're going to have to try and change up their playstyle and go for a different style of victory. Only one way to find out, and that is if we unpause the game. But so far,
apparently in 3 minutes from now, it should be unpaused.
Okay, excellent.
As Tundra has resolved his issues. That just means we have to keep a lovely audience entertained during this brief period, as this is game 3 between FM Esports and Choke Gaming.
This is what happens, by the way, guys. You can see my mouse right now. This is what happens if you have scroll lock enabled, then Alt Tab back in. Your mouse exists, but you can't move it, and it kind of does this when you move the mouse. So that's my entertaining done. And now it's your turn, Andy. Take it away.
you can tell that after casting 5 games in a row coming into there's been a lot of long games today. This is our 6th game of the day. We are also doing this from home as the studio is unavailable, so it does get quite tiring. We do apologise for the random things that we do say from time to time, but hopefully you find it entertaining. As Tundra does reconnect on our screens, hopefully we should be jumping back into game relatively soon, as Tundra has informed me that they have already unpaused, so game should be kicking underway fairly shortly. But, you know, I want to talk more about this rivalry between Numlocked and Tundra, because right now things are looking like Numlock could be the one to come out ahead. You know, we've already had a couple battle of the broadbands, and right now it's going to be turning into a battle of the who can come out ahead between support and top lane.
Yeah, absolutely is, and I really feel like that could potentially be a tournament. BT, Talk, whoever, any telecoms company, get on that battle of the broadband. Definitely could be. That's $1 million idea right there, Andy. I feel like we need to get in touch with one of these big telecoms companies. Obviously, there are telecoms companies in other countries getting involved. SKT Telecom, a good example right there. But
I'm going to move back to the game now much more.
I think that's a good idea.
Do posture around to pick up this dragon. Going to be the 3rd dragon of the game. 2nd dragon for Choke, and they're going to pick that one up nice and easy. But the FM Esports going to use this as an opportunity to get some control around the Baron pit, and they're actually going to kick things off.
Yeah, absolutely. They just start this straight away. Flaxish does not have teleport available, but they are aware that Numlock doesn't either. They do kick it off, but they decide to back away in the end as Plex shows up, and they do not want to be on the wrong end of that Dragon's Rage if he can find his target. So, backing away from that Baron, a little bit of a scare there for Choke, but they do manage to get everything under control, and now they head towards this mid lane tier 2, and with this positional advantage they've acquired, they're going to be able to start off this Dragon.
Yeah, so right now nothing really major happening. It did force Choke away from the dragon, but they're just going to move back onto that one, pick that one up. And notice now actually that Numlocked was able to pick up the Phage as well as the Ravenous Hydra, so he's going to be pretty strong, going to be working towards that Black Cleaver, and once he gets that he's going to be very difficult to deal with. I would argue that he actually has the slight edge up against this Riven in the 1 versus 1, and this is one of the problems that you have against the Fiora. No matter how hard you shut her down in the early game, if you can't keep her down and can't keep her as weak as possible, then she will slowly scale up and start to have a massive impact. We saw that last game where Numlocked was so ridiculously strong on that Renekton, but then come to the late stages of the game, Flaxis just straight up 1 versus 1'd him on that Fiora, and this is just why Fiora is so stupidly strong right now. But they've done a good job of shutting it down in the early game. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not they can keep her down, as both top laners continuing their split push game of who can shove the fastest.
Yeah, Fiora, or Flaxis rather, pretty much having the Fiora's wet dream there, has the Tiamat and picks up 3 minion waves all clumped up together. Beautiful to watch, and I don't know what it is about CSing, but there's something incredibly satisfying about picking up a massive wave of CS, and Flaxish going to be able to grab that one for himself, and that's going to extend his CS lead to 20 CS over Numlocked. And Numlocked has done a good job to pull himself back into this game. He was so far behind in CS to start off with, but now it's a little bit more even between these guys. And I was talking about Flaxish's Fiora, but it is in fact Numlocked that is on the Fiora, so that kind of says a whole lot about how long we have been casting.
Right now though, Plex does get hit up by the Cocoon.
It does indeed. Going to be able to get a ward jump though. Kino taking a chunk of damage from Raveno. Nice charm goes across to land onto that spider as Ziviz tries to get any kind of pressure he can out onto the Hado. Raveno, nice charm just to zone the enemy mid laner away. And that is going to mean that he can walk back to safety. And Choke Gaming again just going to back off into their half of the map.
Notice how Raveno's decided to go for the Abyssal Scepter now. He recognizes that with the death cap completed on Ziviz, he will start to hurt, and he's decided, right, okay, I need to respect this. But Flaxish going for the very aggressive play. I felt like that could have been the duel that we were waiting for, but nope, Numlock decides to just immediately disengage that one, and they're going to go back to farming a Storm, wait for those major items to be completed. Numlock very close to completing that Black Cleaver now, but again, just trade back and forth between these two top laners.
Yeah, and neither of them really wanting to commit to this one. Flaxish keeps on going for these little bursts, but with the shield that each of them are getting, Numlocked from the tower and Flaxish having the Bloodthirster and, of course, his own shield, that is going to mean that they can't really get this damage to stick at the early stages here. Or I say early stages, we're 27 minutes into the game. It's not that early. Well, again, look at that. Both of them trading back and forth, but neither of them actually taking damage. And we are seeing both teams starting to mill around this Baron area, and it's going to be Kino caught up here. Jokerism got by the Tempered Fate, but it doesn't really achieve all too much as Tundra is going to be going down. Flaxish manages to teleport on into the fight, but he's exhausted immediately. Flashes over to try and chase Jokerism, but he doesn't find the kill, and it's going to be a 2-for-1 in favour of Choke Gaming.
Yeah, what a beautiful flank coming out from Flaxish. It looked like that he could have swung the fight then and there, but he just wasn't quite able to get the kill onto Jokerism. A very clutch flash came out from the AD carry to avoid the wind slash from Flaxish and was able to turn that fight around with a little bit of support coming out from Raveno. Yes, Plex did fall to the damage of Ziviz, and this is what I was talking about with that death cap. He does hit a pretty big power spike with that item and is a very big threat that they need to take into consideration of. And with little to, well, the 0 magic resist on top of Plex right now, it's very easy for Ziviz to bring him down, but that was the only kill that FM were able to pick up, and because of Tundra being somewhat out of position, yes, he did manage to land the Temper Bait onto Jokerism, but Plex just did a great job of preventing Ziviz from being able to capitalize off of that, and 2-for-1 in favor of Choke is exactly the sort of fight that they want.
Yeah, absolutely is. And now Ziviz and Kino looking for an opportunity. They might just have found Hado, who is immediately going to flash away over that red buff wall, but Flash on Alistair is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it's a great engage tool, and you know, looking at the actual composition of Choke, once again, they have very little engage other than that Alistair, you know, either to get the flank off coming around from behind or to go for the flash pulverized play are there really only ways to engage a team fight, unless again we get Plex setting up those beautiful Dragon's Rage kicks into the rest of his team that we've seen him do many a time. Right now though, they're using this as an opportunity to try and get some vision once again around this Baron area. Both teams really do like to play around the Baron, but the Dragon is going to be spawning in 1 minute again, and I feel like this is just going to be a repeat of what we saw in game 2. Both teams just kind of putting wards down, but not really playing around them. And this is something that a lot of the UK teams seem to struggle with. They just don't know quite how to maximize the use of their vision. They put it down, but then they don't really do much with it. And right now, Tundra could be caught out.
He could indeed. He's going to get that Tempered Fate down, but it only lands onto Hado, and Jokerism picks up the kill onto that support. 0, 3, and 5 now on Tundra. And again, they only managed to get one pick, but that is enough for them to start off this Baron. Apparently, they begin the fight, but immediately Ziviz is here to try and lock them up. Kino taking a huge amount of damage from Numlocked here. There's nowhere for him to repel, and in the meantime, Ravano gets soloed, and so does Nocturnal Plex. I'm not sure what's happening elsewhere on the map, but the Baron is going to be denied here. And that is going to mean... Oh, in fact, Ziviz gets headbutted, but doesn't quite find anything there.
He gets that. He stole the skull crab.
Oh, he stole the skull crab. Well played by him. And actually, he's looking for Jokerism. Can't quite find his target. And
but that fight right there, they felt as though that with Tundra dead, they had the numbers advantage, they could look to make a play. They sent Ravano in the bottom lane to set up the split push, and because he had the teleport available, he could very easily join the fight, but Flaxis just jumped out of nowhere, interrupted that teleport, and prevented him from being involved in the team fight around Baron. It was a great interrupt coming out from Flaxis, being able to pick up the kill, and then Kino used that repel very nicely to set up another kill onto Plex, who'd taken a huge amount of damage from the Baron. So nice plays coming out from FM to be able to maximize what they could. Overall, it was a 2-for-2 trade between the two teams, but they are able to get the Dragon off the back of that, equalizing the Dragon score now 2-2 as we currently sit in another pause, and we've only got 12 minutes left, so I hope these guys successfully resolve their pause issues relatively soon, as it does appear that this game could go on for quite a while.
Do you want to hear a super top Rito game secret? When the pause timer gets to 0, it just starts counting up again. I've been in long enough pauses in my time to know this, unfortunately. I was once in a 1.5 hour pause in a Russian game, so that was good fun. And you learn things in pauses. Pauses are really good for your education. You learn things about countdown timers. That's about all you learn, unfortunately. But I guess we'll take another look at the scoreboard here. 5-0 and 4 now on Jokerism. He's doing a phenomenal job, as well as that 20 CS lead that he's been able to maintain. Toaster on the other side of the scoreboard, 4-1 and 1. So ever so slightly behind, but with an extra tower in his favour, he's going to be doing okay gold-wise. And the pause is going to be taken away. Luckily, not too long of a pause this time. We're going to be getting this game back underway again, but what is it that these two teams need to be doing right now to try and get themselves towards the victory?
Stuff.
Well, yeah,
need to be doing stuff right now, because at the moment they're just sort of milling about. They're not really doing anything. They're clearing out waves, dropping wards, and then going back to clearing out waves, and then once they lose the wards, they're going back to clearing out some more wards. Neither team is really doing anything. They wait for the other team to make some sort of mistake, they capitalize, and then they try and run away with it. And again, it just comes back to the fact that neither team is doing a great job of playing around vision. Again, look, you can see here, ooh, the charm does land on the Ziviz.
Ziviz is in a whole lot of trouble, but he escapes. On the hunt, plus distortion is going to mean that he can escape the assassination attempt by Ravano. Not quite able to line up his sniper correctly. And the assassination target does escape now. Hado trying to get onto Tundra, who's going to Mystical Journey on out of there. Or Magical Journey, sorry. Apologies to any Bard mains out there that I may have offended with that statement, but over in the bottom lane, Numlocked and Flaxish both eyeing each other up. Flaxish vying for the position of Numlocked's rival. Tundra still currently holding that title though. And now we see, oh, a nice Tempered Fate is going to delay this Baron. It has already been kicked off and it's down to half HP already. 6,000 hit points remain on this objective, and they're starting to slowly but surely burn it on down. Flaxish isn't there, and his teleport isn't quite off cooldown. The Baron is going to go down. Kino is going to fall as well, and this is fantastic news for Choke Gaming. Toaster now trying to escape. Double kill comes through for Numlocked, and he's looking to try and finish off this AD carry, and he might just be able to as Toaster goes down. There's a triple kill for Numlocked. In the meantime, Ziviz was able to find Jokerism, but it's not going to be enough right now because Nocturnal Plex is on the hunt for him. He lands the Sonic Wave and he picks up the kill. That is a 4-for-1 in favour of Choke Gaming, as well as a Baron.
I cannot believe they were actually able to get the Baron off the back of that. They had On the Hunt available to them. They could have tried to set up for some sort of play, but oh, Flaxish now in a lot of trouble.
He certainly is. Does manage to get the key strike onto Numlocked. He's trying to stack up his broken wings to be able to escape. And he does. Numlocked, though, he's not had enough just yet. He's going to continue to chase this one and decides in the end that Riven has far too much movement speed for him to be able to catch up, and eventually backs away. But 4 for 1 overall.
Yeah, 4 for 1 overall in favour of Choke Gaming. What a great play, and they've really propelled their goal lead even further now. Probably the biggest goal difference we've seen all game, and that was fantastic decision-making coming out from Choke Gaming, though. Recognized that they could very easily take the Baron. They knew that Flaxish didn't have his teleport available, so he couldn't join the fight. Numlocked recognized his teleport was down, so he already started walking down as the Baron was being kicked off. And now, the wave clear is nowhere near as strong as it was last game, so Choke are going to look to set up the siege, and they're going to take these towers with ease.
Yeah, just look how fast that tower dropped. Surprised they're not sending anyone down to the bottom lane. There is a massive minion wave for them to use to take down that tier 2 down there. Well, so far, just going to be milling around this mid lane, maybe waiting for that minion wave to get closer to the tower before going for the rotational play. You can see Flaxish is off down to try and clear out those minions, but he's going to have to react to the fact that Choke, they're looking to maybe try and pressure these inhibitors.
Yeah, they could very well be. I wouldn't be surprised to see Numlock perhaps set up...
Oh, the charm onto Zivis! Ravano just completely destroys his lane opponent. What a play coming out from the Ahri.
And this could be a very big problem for FM right now. Zivis only being level 15 to the level 18 Ravano. You can really see that Ahri pick working out. Ravano maintaining his performance from the last game, having a huge impact on this Ahri as the Tempered Fate comes out.
It does indeed. Flax is trying to do what he can. He's incredibly low though, and Tundra is going to fall. It's going to be Numlocked on this front line. He's trying to get on into the fight as Plex picks himself up a double kill. He's found Kino combo as well, and he's looking for more. Numlocked, sorry, picks up yet another one. Tundra's not even a top laner anymore, but Plex actually has gone a little bit too deep. The rest of his team did not follow him there. Zivis has now respawned, so Jokerism needs to be incredibly careful here. But they are going to be able to take an inhibitor off the back of this one, and the big minion wave that I was talking about earlier has finally hit the tower, and Jokerism is going to be able to take this objective down with ease, and they're going to take a second inhibitor as well. Suddenly, it feels like Choke Gaming are so far ahead that FM, they might just be out of the series.
And the most important thing to note there was he was able to kill his blood rival and bring down his arch nemesis Tundra to his knees and pick himself up a double kill. Numlocked, after having such a rough early game, was able to stall things out long enough to have such a massive impact coming into these late game team fights. And unfortunately, it just comes back to what I was saying. FM wanted to start a fight off right there, and they used the Tempered Fate, which is so unreliable. It's so easy to avoid, very easy to just completely dodge out, and off the back of that, Tundra really just doesn't offer very much, especially with how easy it is for the rest of Choke Gaming to just jump on top of your face. And this is why I was a bit questionable about this Bard pick. Coming into the later stages, it really doesn't offer very much. And now, with 2 inhibitors down for FM Esports, it's just going to be a slow bleed out for the rest of FM Gaming. They're going to try and do a Fnatic push, trying to set up a pick here. Let's see if it can work out for them.
Well, it worked out. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was them that did it in game 1. In fact, Jokerism got caught out. This time it's Numlocked, and he's going to get absolutely burst down. Tempered Fate lands onto only Zivis, who's going to get knocked up by the Haddo, but it's not quite enough right now. Tundra incredibly low as Ravano Spirit Rushes so aggressively. Flaxish going to get locked up, and it is going to be a trade across, and it is in fact 3 for 3 across the board. AD carry and support still alive here for Choke Gaming versus the AD carry and the jungler for FM Esports.
There was so much stuff happening on in that team fight. It was difficult to keep a track of everything that was going on. But the main thing was they were able to drop Numlocked straight off the get-go. He dropped immediately, enabling FM to really start coming out ahead in that fight. But because of how tanky, or surprisingly tanky, that Plex was, he didn't quite drop immediately, and Haddo providing such fantastic peel for his AD carry meant that there was no real way for them to shut him down. Ravno once again having a massive impact, picking up a huge number of kills in that fight and doing what he could to turn the fight in their favor. That Zhonya's Hourglass also working very well for him, enabled them to actually trade evenly, and I say evenly in terms of the number of kills, but they were able to pick up the 3rd dragon, or their 3rd dragon, the 5th dragon overall of the game, as well as the final tier 2 tower on the side of FM Esports. So Choke Gaming, even after a very even fight, come out ahead.
Yeah, so really well played by Choke Gaming to get themselves into the lead of this game, and it feels like for the first time one of the teams really has a grip, really a handle on this game. 8,000 gold is the lead in favour of Choke. They've got an extra dragon on their opponents, 3 extra towers, and they're looking to potentially end this one. The 2 inhibitors on this bottom side are going to mean that this Baron is wide open for them. It's going to be spawning in 50 seconds, and you immediately see them heading over to try and set up vision dominance of this area.
It's the best thing to do right now. I'm just going to have a quick look at the inhibitors and see how much longer they've got left. These will be respawning fairly soon. I imagine they're going to spawn around about the same time as the Baron. There may be a wave or two full of super minions, so it's going to be a matter of how well Choke can take advantage of the fact that the inhibitors will be down just as the Baron spawns, and it's going to be very important if they do pick this up that they are very likely to close out the game. So far they've been coming out ahead of these fights when they can't, get those surprise plays onto Choke, but right now they're trying to use the positional advantage that they have to take down this tier 2 tower in the top lane with Numlocked in the mid lane. He does have his teleport available to join the fights if they need to. They're all huddling up against this wall. This is very clutch, very tense moment between these two teams.
It certainly is. Numlocked, as you say, has his teleport, but he's on his way. He's going to walk on down, and in fact, the engage is going to be forced here. On the hunt is going to be used as combo, tries to get to the back line, but he's not going to find it, and Ziv is incredibly low. He's going to go down. Jokerism picks up the first kill, but it's going to be Plex falling as well, and Kino finally falls. Jokerism jumping forward, picks up the kill. The double goes through, and that's going to be one for Ravano as well. Toaster, the last man standing, is going to be toasted himself, and now with the triple kill in the hands of Jokerism. 2 inhibitors down, a massive wave in the bottom lane. This might just be the game for Choke Gaming, and in fact, the surrender vote comes out from FM, and it is going to be the series going over 2-1 in favour of Choke.
So after 3 ridiculously long games between these two top teams, it is Choke that ends up coming out ahead off the back of that beautiful play right in the end. Ravano having a fantastic performance in games 2 and 3 on this Ahri. Plex settling. He did such a great job in the early game of helping Numlock come back into the game, but Jokerism and Hado this game was so solid. Look at their scores, 9-1 and 11, 1-2 and 23 on the Hado. Such a great performance from all of the members of Choke, but I just feel as though this Hado pick was a large reason as to why FM fell behind. They weren't able to get the engages that they want, they weren't really able to set up any fights, and it was just so difficult for them. Civiz fell behind, Toaster did what he could, but it just wasn't quite enough. Flaxish was no longer able to 1 versus 1 Numlocked and apply that split push pressure, and Kino just couldn't offer anything coming into these mid to late game team fights, whereas Plex was just doing a huge amount, and it was just straight up, I feel as though Choke outperformed FM in this final game. They played to their composition very, very well. I feel like they did have the stronger composition coming into the mid and late game, and they did a fantastic job, very well deserved, and right now they're sitting at the top of the ESL UK Premiership.
They certainly are, and as you say, very well deserved. The only team to be at the top of the Premiership, they have that spot on their own currently, as Exertus and Infused's game was rearranged from yesterday. So the only 2 teams of the top 4 to have played their game, and that is going to mean that it is it for us tonight. Congratulations to both the Newell and Choke Gaming taking their series 2-1. They're going to be moving up the standings, and we'll see how they continue to get this momentum throughout the rest of the season. But from me and from Vedius, we're going to be leaving you guys. If you've enjoyed the casting, please chuck us a follow on Twitter. You can find me at ESL_Munchables, and you can find Vedius at VediusLol. We'll put those in the Twitch chat, but if you're interested in watching more, make sure you follow ESL UK on Twitter as well. But from me and from Vedius, it is going to be good night, and we'll see you next weekend.